Hello everyone and welcome to Smart Remarks. I'm your host Mark Impress Preston. Week 11, we have a lot of different topics we're going to go into, a lot of crazy games that went down to the wire and went into overtime. So let's get this show kicked off. So in our Mark Men segment, first we're going to look at Plexico Burrs. And finally, some NFL team finally wised up and decided to give Plex a chance. I mean, Plex had 8 touchdowns last year, great red zone target. They have Charlie Batch playing quarterback, so they need someone to make it as easy as possible for the Steelers to have any sort of passing attack. And now with Roger Goodell and Ed Reed got fined and suspended, but it got reduced to $50,000 for a quote-unquote egregious hit on a defenseless wide receiver. Look, I'm just about as sick of it as anyone else who's watched football and is used to football being played a certain way. There's nothing dirty about that hit Ed Reed put on Emmanuel Sanders. So I wish that the racist NFL commissioner prick known as Roger Goodell would just allow defensive players to be just as safe and just as protected in the rules as offensive players, and really just allow them to play football. The game is way too crazy. The offenses have way too big of an advantage nowadays, and really stop punishing players for playing good defense. Now jumping into our funky bunch for the NFC. At number 5, a team that I have a lot of respect for, but without Jay Cutler as a quarterback, the Bears look god-awful on offense. Now, granted, it was against the 49ers. We'll see. They have another tough game coming up against Minnesota. But I have to put the Bears at number 5. Defense can't carry this team through every game and do all the scoring. Eventually, the special teams and the offense have to step up to the plate here. And at number 4, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They were on a bye, but once again, with a strong running game and Russell Wilson continuing to get better as a young rookie quarterback and really a top-notch defense under Pete Carroll. We'll see how Seattle plays down the stretch. Number 3, gotta give some love back to the Atlanta Falcons, who came back off of a loss to the Saints and bounced back. Even though Matt Ryan did not play particularly well at all. 5 interceptions, no touchdowns, but somehow, someway, the Falcons found another way to eke out a close game. We'll see if they can keep the ball rolling. Number 2, got to have the San Francisco 49ers. Impressive win over the Bears at home with Colin Kaepernick playing quarterback. So we'll see what continues to happen with that quarterback situation out there in San Francisco. But the defense played great. See how they do. And at number 1, still have to have the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. Once again, another late game drive showing why he is the best quarterback in the NFL. Late game touchdown pass to Randall Cobb. Really, they haven't had much of a defense nor running game, even though Clay Matthews is playing well. We'll see what happens when the Packers get healthy. What happens as we get towards the playoffs. Okay, jumping into our funky bunch for the AFC. Not a lot has changed in my opinion over the past week. Number 5, still got to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just signed Plex this week. Charlie Batch is the quarterback, but I didn't see a lot in that Ravens game to warrant keeping the Steelers out of the top 5. Mike Tomlin's still a great leader as a coach. Hopefully the Steelers can continue to pound the rock, play great defense, and get healthy and improve going toward the playoffs. Number 4, Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos get this spot. Once again, they're playing a lot of teams that they should beat. So Denver has a real opportunity to continue to build on that momentum going towards the playoffs. And even though they suffered some injuries to the tight end position, talking about the New England Patriots here with Rob Gronkowski with the forearm and Aaron Hernandez being out, I think the addition of Aqib Talib to that defense, and he made an impact in last week's game. We'll see if that defense under Belichick continues to prove. So they're still at the number 3 spot. Number 2, I still have the Baltimore Ravens. They took care of business, and a win is a win in the National Football League, but this team needs to play a little bit better if they want to continue to be an elite team in the AFC, because that defense still hasn't really picked up where we're accustomed to seeing that Ravens defense at. And at number 1, still have the Houston Texans, even though they gave up a lot of points to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But once again, can't complain if they win the game. So hopefully Thanksgiving, when they play the Lions, that they show the nation, show the world that they're the best team in the NFL. Okay, now for some smart picks. And just in case if you wanted to know who's on top in my ESPN Pigskin Pick'em League, it's none other than me by a couple of games. But we're looking to keep our momentum from being 3-0 on the show, 12-2 for the week. We have 4 games that are really looking forward to watching on Sunday. First game, you have Atlanta with the best record in the NFC, playing another tough division rival on the road in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And honestly, the last 3 or 4 games, Josh Freeman and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been on fire offensively and finding all types of ways to win. And I think that the Atlanta Falcons are in big trouble against the Buccaneers. I look for the Buccaneers to win that game. Also, the 49ers going into New Orleans. Now, New Orleans is that team that's starting to build momentum that no one wants to see as far as, their offense goes with Drew Brees and company. And because the game's in New Orleans, even though the 49ers can run the football and put up points themselves, plus they have a very great defense, I look for Drew Brees to get the job done and get a little rematch, revenge from the playoff loss in San Francisco last year. Green Bay going to New York. Now, New York hasn't played well in like the last 6-7 weeks, and really I don't suspect anything different under Tom Coughlin's bunch right now. Someone needs to tell the Giants that their schedule is very tough these next couple weeks. They're letting all these teams in the NFC East that continue to lose every week hang in the race. Cowboys only being 1 game behind, the Redskins only being 2 games behind. The Eagles, it doesn't even matter, but in theory they're only X amount of games behind as well. I think Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers go into New York and take care of business. And finally, Minnesota going to Chicago. This one was tough for me, but the way Jason Campbell played last week versus the 49ers, the Bears offensive line and him at quarterback, it just looked really terrible. And they have Adrian Peterson in that running game coming in, and the Vikings defense has been playing pretty decent football, so I look for Christian Ponder to get a big win on the road in the division for the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, so for our question mark segment, we decided to be a little traditional. Thanksgiving, Black Friday coming up. As an NFL fan, overall, what, looking at this season, can we be thankful for? Well, we can be thankful that there's so much parity in the NFL. A lot of teams written off the Saints, written off the Bengals, and they're going on these incredible win streaks. We have a lot of different competitive games every Sunday. But me personally, as an Eagles fan, something that I can be thankful for is that we will no longer have Andy Reid as our coach. Hopefully he gets fired after Monday, because the Eagles will lose that game to the Panthers. Please believe that. And really, something else to be thankful for, we have stars back in the NFL, certain stars that we didn't have last year due to injury. Peyton Mannings of the world, Adrian Peterson. It sucks that Ray Lewis isn't playing right now, but hopefully he can rejoin the NFL. Just appreciating the way some of these guys have played the game consistently for years. It's just a pleasure really to watch certain guys do their business at the highest level. Okay, so that wraps up another episode of Smart Remarks. Want everybody out there to enjoy spending time with their families, some shopping on Black Friday, watching some Thanksgiving football, and look out, in the words of John Madden, the ever elusive, scrumptious turducken. The most mutilated piece of meat ever awarded to an NFL player ever. So, we're going to take a knee here. See you next week.